Welcome to the New York Medicaid EHR Incentive Program Post-Payment Audit Education Series. The topic for this tutorial is Audit Process Overview. This tutorial serves as a guide for eligible hospitals and eligible professionals participating in the New York Medicaid EHR Incentive Program who are preparing for an audit of their Adopt, Implement, or Upgrade AIU or Meaningful Use MU activity. This tutorial will provide an overview of the post-payment audit review process. You can pause, rewind, and fast forward as needed. Keep in mind as you view the tutorials in this education series, the Office of the Medicaid Inspector General, or OMIG, is the organization that oversees post-payment audits for the New York Medicaid EHR Incentive Program. The Department of Health, or DOH, is the organization that administers the prepayment process. The two entities are independent of each other. OMIG auditors may ask for additional documentation that is not asked for during the prepayment process. Let's begin. The Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health Act, also known as HITECH, was signed into law by the federal government in 2009. The HITECH Act established the Medicaid and Medicare EHR incentive programs, the Office of the National Coordinator for Health Information Technology, or ONC, and Certified EHR Technology, also known as CERT. The goals of the HITECH Act, and specifically the Medicaid EHR Incentive Program, are to improve patient quality of care, promote the adoption and meaningful use of health information technology, increase health information exchange, and standardize health information technology. The Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, provides federal oversight of each state's Medicaid EHR incentive program. Incentive payments are 100% federally funded. The New York State Department of Health, or New York State DOH, is responsible for the administration of the New York Medicaid EHR incentive program, following program rules established by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. The New York Medicaid EHR Incentive Program is responsible for maintaining a state-level registry, SLR, known as MyPass, to collect provider-submitted attestations. The New York Medicaid EHR Incentive Program works directly with program participants or their delegated agents to remediate issues with the attestation prior to payment. The New York Medicaid EHR Incentive Program leverages the established eMedNY claims payment system to remit attestation payments to successful applicants. The New York State Office of the Medicaid Inspector General, OMIG, is an independent entity within the New York State Department of Health whose mission is to enhance the integrity of the New York State Medicaid program by preventing and detecting fraudulent, abusive, and wasteful practices within the Medicaid program and recovering improperly expended Medicaid funds while promoting high-quality patient care. OMIG performs post-payment audits to ensure the compliance and integrity of the New York State Medicaid EHR Incentive Program. It is possible that a provider who was paid by DOH may not pass an audit by OMIG. If a provider is selected for audit, these are the steps that he or she can expect the process to follow. First, an audit notification letter will be sent to the provider both by U.S. postal mail and by email. The audit notification letter and audit notification email will list the name and contact information of the auditor, the details of the audit, and what documentation is being requested. For more information, view the tutorial entitled Understanding the Audit Notification Email AIU or the tutorial entitled Understanding the Audit Notification Email MU, or visit the EHR Incentive Program website. The provider will have 35 days from the date of the audit notification letter to provide documentation to the auditor. For more information on securely submitting documentation, view the tutorial entitled Submitting Documentation. Once received, auditors will review documentation for program compliance. The auditor may reach out to the provider for clarification or to ask for additional documentation. Once the review is complete, the provider will be notified of the determination by U.S. postal mail. Providers found in compliance with program requirements will receive an audit summation letter. In this case, the audit is complete and no further action is required. Providers found to be in non-compliance with the program requirements will receive a draft audit report. The draft audit report informs the provider of which specific program requirements were not met. In this case, the provider will have 35 days to respond and submit additional documentation. After the provider's response is reviewed, a final determination will be made. A final audit report with no recoveries is issued when documentation meeting all audit requirements is provided in response to the draft audit report. Once the final audit report with no recoveries is issued, no further information is needed from the provider, and the audit is then closed. If all program requirements are still not met, a final audit report with recoveries will be issued that identifies the program requirements in noncompliance, the overpayment amount, repayment options, and the provider's hearing rights. The best time to prepare for an audit is at the beginning of the payment year as you prepare to attest. Choose the 90-day Medicaid patient volume reporting period, the 90-day period for public health reporting, the date that the security risk analysis will be completed, and educate yourself on the measures and thresholds for each meaningful use objective. This is a good time to engage with DOH to assure that you are ready to attest and to begin gathering source documents. Contact information for DOH can be found at health.ny.gov/EHR. When the time to attest arrives, providers are free to designate a third party to complete the attestation. Providers are personally responsible to ensure all information entered is true, accurate, and complete. Providers must be aware that all information entered on the attestation has to be backed by auditable data sources. Obtain supporting documentation from vendors and billing companies prior to attesting. In light of the possibility of post-payment audit, providers are required to retain documentation in support of all attestations for no fewer than 6 years from the date the attestation is submitted. For more information, please visit the EHR Incentive Program website. A provider who is currently under audit should consider the following. OMIG and DOH are separate entities. OMIG will review the detailed criteria for each program requirement. It is possible that a provider who was paid by DOH may not pass an audit by OMIG. If one or more audit criteria is not supported by supporting documentation, OMIG will recoup the incentive payment. If a provider fails an audit, he or she cannot reattest for the same year. Congratulations, you've completed the EHR Incentive Program Post-Payment Audit Education Series Tutorial Audit Process Overview. If you have additional questions about your audit, please contact the assigned auditor. Thank you for viewing this tutorial. You can view additional educational resources by visiting health.ny.gov/EHR.